Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. I'm Gav. This is Phil. This is the Monday show that ended up on Tuesday because Gav wasn't well yesterday. Disclaimer: this chat contains random non-football related content. You have been warned. Nothing is off limits. Football chat may be limited or non-existent. That's Ashley's disclaimer this evening. Fair play to her. But something along them lines. I feel like we need to do it. So if you want complete and utter football chat, turn this off now. Turn it off.
If you want complete and utter football chat, then you should be looking at YouTube.
Yeah. Right. True, right? But turn it off now. So so nobody gets to 10 minutes and goes, oh, skip the 10 minutes. No, turn it off, right? There will be chat around random stuff. There will be chat around football in the next hour or so. That's how it works when me and Phil get together, okay?
Yep.
That's the end of that. Anyway, Phil, how
Garmac says Dortmund. My hair's looking very, very, very strange.
I know, I need mine cut.
So, yeah, I need mine, but it was a choice between getting a haircut or buying stuff for the bike, and the bike won out.
Okay. Dortmund are through to the European Cup final. They beat PSG 1-0 away tonight, a 2-0 win in aggregate. They will play Madrid or Bayern in the final.
Yeah, they can look forward to losing to Madrid or Bayern.
Yeah, do you think so?
Final. Yeah.
Okay.
I do.
It's at Wembley, isn't it? Funny enough, the last time Dortmund were in a European Cup final, I think, was 2000 and I want to say 13 at Wembley. Yes,
Klopp
it was.
Manager.
It was 2013 because Bayern had lost the previous final at home to Chelsea in 2012. The 2011 one was when Messi done United 3-1 at Wembley, and then they went back to Wembley in 2014, and now they're going back to Wembley this year. So it could be a repeat, Bayern versus Dortmund. I think they need to hope that Bayern get through.
Because otherwise it's just you just lose to Real Madrid when they turn up, don't they? Don't you just turn up and you just lose? Go, oh, that's it. That's the ground. That was great. We did well. Well, now we're finished. The only time they lost, I think, a European Cup final in Madrid was when we played them in 1980 Splash.
Yeah, 1981. Yeah, in Paris, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
Yeah. Yeah, they've won every final ever since. I'm sure somebody will correct me, but you're wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, Paul Giovanni trying his best to keep us away from football. He says, Phil, I've just seen the World Bed Making Championships on Instagram. Incredible.
Now, I saw this thing called Golf Bucket today, right?
Golf Bucket.
Yeah.
Sounds like a weird... I'm not even going to say what it sounds like.
It's like there's a golf stick or club, whatever you want to call it, but it has a large plastic bit at the end, like the kids have, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a ball that's like, say, 3 times the size of a golf ball with holes in it. You know, like those practice balls you practice driving with, right?
Yeah.
Much bigger. And instead of a hole, they have like those, now they're red coloured, but they have these bags that look like, you know, the bin bags in the back of your car that you hang off the back of your seat.
Yeah.
And then you're about 40 yards away and you have to chip the ball into the bag.
So it's a child's plastic golf club with a ball with holes in.
An adult-sized child's golf club.
An adult-sized plastic child's golf club with a ball with holes in it, like you use.
Yeah.
But 3 times the size of a golf ball. Yeah. And then you have a bin that looks like you'd hang off the back of your seat in your car and you have to hit at it.
Yeah.
I'm all in. Send me the link. Send me the link. Yeah, send me the link.
This is so, and that's not the one up you. That's not the one up you at all. It was just when I was looking at us there, going, "Gav would love this."
I'm into it. Send it to me. I'll watch that.
It's like crazy golf. Crazy golf meets kids golf meets random stuff that you do in the gaff when you're just bored.
Well, that's like it's like this years ago. Do you remember when you're making a cup of tea?
Yep.
And you used to have like most people in the house have the little tubs with all the tea bags in it.
Yeah.
And then you'd put your cup out on the counter, right? And you'd only need 1 tea bag, but you take 3 out and you were pretending to play darts. And you'd be throwing the thing at the cup and giving yourself a score. 3 tea, could you get the 3 of them in the one go? So but I'm mad into it. Send me the link immediately.
I will.
Send it on to me. Is there anything else on your mind before we go on?
No, I'm in pain today, as you know. So you were texting me yesterday about doing this, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't get back to you for ages.
I was hanging on by a thread myself, I'm being honest with you.
You were hanging on by a thread. And I I was out for a very long time with the bike yesterday. A very long, very, very long time. Like longer than I've ever been. And at one stage, I was questioning my decision to do all this. I really was. I came back, I got off the bike, and I said to the other half, I said, genuinely, I think I've bitten off more than I could chew. And that's the first time in this whole expedition
Yeah.
I've thought that to myself. And I got depressed because it was like after a gorgeous day on Sunday, it was the whole thing, it was raining and wet. I had no feeling in my toes when I came back. My knee is still swollen today from it. So it wasn't good.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Well, look, don't give up. That was just a stumble. You'll be absolutely fine. You'll be grand.
127 new world record.
Was it 127 kilometers?
127.
New world record. Everyone down in RTE. Everyone down in UCD. Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock, and we'll do
4 hours. 4 hours 57 minutes.
Yeah, so and I've ordered you a belt from Amazon, so
I can't wait for the belt.
I will. I actually think I will get you a belt and make you do your races with it on, which would be fantastic. I might order one with the weights in it. The way people strap weights to themselves now when they go running. Big heavy belt. A belt made out of batteries.
So I have to bring it with me for the 200.
Yeah, no, you have to. Just everywhere you go. Just fucking 700 AA batteries strapped to a bleeding bit of cardboard. You just going around with it. Anyway, first football topic. Ange Postecoglou is a spoofer.
Just before that, Brian, just to answer your question, those cows, they were in what is their shed, which is the equivalent to an aircraft hangar to the rest of the world, but they weren't out yesterday. I did actually get excited when I was going past them and they weren't out in the field. I was so disappointed.
But Brian wants to get to the bottom of that mystery as to what they were. Yeah. Just take a picture next time.
What did I just say? They were in the shed, which is an aircraft hangar.
Elephant cows, you were calling them or something.
Dino cows.
Well, anyway, if he's gone by the next time and they're not in the gaff, they're outside playing. Get a picture.
I've still one more cycle to go that way, right?
Yeah, so there you go. And is there a house near it that you can knock in and go, here, can I just take a picture of one of your cows there?
There's an aircraft hangar, which is their barn, so I'll take.
Yeah, but you just go in then. No one's going to stop you. You're only going to take a picture of a dino cow. Unless
it's joint, like in the joint in the beanstalk.
No, do you know what I'd love to have? I'd love for you to go, this would be grand. And you go in and there's like some mad tripwire and it just fucking you get electrocuted. No, not fully electrocuted, just a good shock, just to fucking put you off it. But anyway, Ange Postecoglou, is he a spoof?
I think we'll know next year. The way they played football, I'll say one thing, right?
Don't tell me you like.
I like their never say die attitude, right? Even a 4-0 down
to madness.
Yeah, I think if you had good players, they could be really good, right? But they don't really have that many good players. They've spent an awful lot of money on a lot of B players. Yeah, like there's no A players or A plus players. There's just B players. Yeah,
right.
Well, and with the exception of Son. Like the fella in goal, now only our centre forwards couldn't score 100 goals on Sunday, right? But like,
is he the guy that's played all season? Like people have been raving about him.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't. I'm like whatever. And Mickey van den Ven should really be either a golfer or a punter in the NFL, right? So with a name like that, and then the rest of the fellas, I was like, they're going, don't know who you are. Don't know who you are. Random, load of randomers, a load of regents, and it's like I was just there going, right. But he made big statements when they were playing well. Do you remember on the 27th of October, I think it was, and somebody, it was either Sky Sports or something, put out a tweet to the effect: 2 London teams on top of the league. It was them and Arsenal, right? Who will win the league, right? And they haven't. I think they've only won like 12 points since then, or something like that. Spurs. Like they've been absolutely atrocious. But I do like the fact they never give up.
No, well, right. So here I am, right? It doesn't. It's not something I've paid a massive amount of attention to, right? Because when he came in, it was like, he's a breath of fresh air and it's football and this, that, and the other. And I was kind of going, yeah. I can kind of get on board with that. He is trying to do something different because, of course, they had got Conte in charge, they had got Mourinho in charge, and it was very kind of passive sort of football, pragmatic or whatever you want to call it. And I could get on board with they're going to try something different. When they get beaten at home by Chelsea when they've 9 men and they play 8 men across the back on the halfway line when Chelsea had the ball, I was like, what is this fella up to? My only issue with him is failure to adapt to games. His failure to have a plan if they're up against it, or they go a goal behind, or they go a man down. They just seem to do the same thing all the time. So they're no surprise to teams. Yeah, they kept going on Sunday, but Liverpool stopped. On the hour mark, Liverpool just stopped and went, enough of this. Conceded 2 quick ones, and then it just kind of drains out. But even at that, like, it wasn't like Spurs were camped in Liverpool's half, or they were doing the exact same things. Like, every time Liverpool broke out of their own box, they were one pass. Like, at one stage, Liverpool got the ball about 10 yards outside their own box, and one ball along the ground, and there was fellas in on goal. You know what I mean? It was absolutely mad. Is he a spoofer? Do you know what's annoyed me a little bit more than anything else? I think after they beat Liverpool, and he's banging on about VAR, and he's banging on about, that's how things happen, and we have to go along with it, and that's the rules. He's been quite vocal in the other direction since, because of a couple of decisions that have gone against him, and he's kind of dirtied his bib a little bit with me on that. But my only worry is that no matter how good a player he seems to sign or will sign or whatever, and you're probably right, next season is probably the time to tell. He probably learns me and becomes a little bit more pragmatic in what he does without losing too much of that attacking sense that he has. And maybe next season is the one to do it. But my worry on him is that even if you gave him 3 or 4 really, really good players to go at what he has, teams will just figure you out, because if they know you're going to only play one way all the time, you're going to get figured out a little bit. And listen, I'm not saying that because I'm some sort of fucking marvel when it comes to football. Liverpool have been found out at times. You know when you go through these stages when you go, Liverpool are playing 4-3-3, and this is the way it's played, and especially the middle of last season, teams were just like, they've only one way to play. You can outrun them in midfield, sit back, and then just turn them around, and anything can happen. So that's where I am with him. You're probably right. Next season is the tell on him, and we'll see how he goes. But I'm just worried that he hasn't, especially when that race got that tight where he didn't go, right, lads, listen, we're still in this somehow, but let's make sure we're solid here. You know what I mean? We can attack, but we have to be solid at the same time. And they're not solid. Simple as that.
But Gav, no team in England. This is a bigger question here, is how is English football got really so bad defensively, right? And to the point,
because they don't want to defend.
No, I know, and there's all this just running up and down in terms of, isn't this exciting? It's not. It's headless football, and I know we've enjoyed the madness of this year when it comes to Liverpool and Klopp, but in reality, at our very best, and probably the year we win the league, the year we win the Champions League run as well, where we come close to winning it as well, right? I'd say that was our peak time under Klopp. And for me, in reality, there was control, and that it wasn't just kamikaze stuff, right? And I think we were able to play with it because of the style of players that we had. We had Van Dijk in his absolute pomp, and I looked at Van Dijk at the weekend, and he's still a fantastic defender, but he's still playing like he was 28, 29, right? And I think, not that he's lost a half a yard, but I do think he's lost half a yard, which means that his style should actually change in comparison to the way it is. And there's still that sort of real calmness, which is great when it comes to exuding calm. But at times when they're going, no, you've lost that half a step that you used to have, which would allow you to recover and get in there, right? And you don't have Matip beside you, who was in his pomp at the same time, and you don't have Fabinho that was able to drop in the middle of the two boys that actually became a 3-man defence. So all that control that we had in our absolute pomp is no longer there. But in terms of the league, there is no teams that control. It's if you want to go real football purist with it, it's half football. It looks exciting to watch in terms of fellas running up and down the pitch like madheads, right? And gaps all over the shop and shots and chances and loads of mistakes and everything there. Yeah. But it's lost the art of defending. This is why they're struggling in Europe for me.
But the Europe thing is a fair point, right? But if you look at and you know me and my thoughts on Arteta and stuff like that. But if you look at Arsenal, right, they're in a title race at coming up to Christmas, but they're considered third favourites, right? Liverpool and City and whatever else is going on. But if you look what Arsenal done, Arsenal I thought were becoming a team where they can be got at. Do you know what I mean? If you go at them, they can be got at and stuff like that. And it was nearly like, when I watched Arsenal before Christmas, I was thinking to myself, okay, what do teams need to do here, right? And what a lot of teams would do would be sit back and get at them, right? Sit back and then try to hit them, and that's where Arsenal were susceptible. But no, and they could be kind of out muscled, they're a bit soft, but what Arsenal have done since New Year, and I think they've only conceded something like 8 or 9 goals since in this year, right, in the league, in this calendar year, from January. They've become something where they have started to control. So what they've done is they've gone out and they've been on the front foot, but they've made sure that, Rice and whoever's beside him is very, very disciplined in what they're doing. Their centre backs have toughened up and stood up massively. But even if you put them under the cosh, they're still very, very solid, right? There's 1 or 2 games where you kind of go, that's a bit ropey. The Spurs one is actually one of them. But overall, I think they've been very, very good at defending, whether that's actual defending or making sure that they're not being left open at the back if they're on the front foot. Man City control a hell of a lot of football. Only teams play them on the break. So they know what's coming in the vast majority of games. Do you know what I mean? But when I look at Spurs, I think Spurs could have done something here where they went, look, teams probably aren't very good at defending. If we make ourselves better defensively, we could possibly win more games and not need to score as many goals, the sort of way. And that's where I just get worried with Postecoglou a little bit, where I go, yeah, but if you gave him a really good central midfielder or you gave him a really top-notch left back, what difference is it going to make if he's going to ask him to be standing on the halfway line when you don't have the ball all the time? And I don't think sometimes it comes down to players, Phil. I think it comes down to the way you approach football games, and he just doesn't seem to be able to switch. That's my thing, Rob.
Ultimately, though, I hope he continues this trend, right? Long may bad teams stay bad. Do you know that way?
Yeah.
Because Spurs are a funny thing. No matter what they do, they always end up being just Spurs. And you wouldn't want them to actually become a decent side because of their location and stuff like that. They could very well, be a strong top 4 team if they really got their act together. But look at all those years of history and stuff. They're never going to get their act together. So no may continue, and suits them down to the ground, as did Pochettino, as did your man Martin Yall, and keep it that way. Right? I honestly, I don't like Spurs.
I don't. To be honest, I don't like any of them. But I
did you see that flag they had?
Who? Spurs?
Yeah.
No.
Before the game, they had a flag with the offside decision from the match they won in the first half of the year.
What?
Yeah, they had a picture, they'd taken a screenshot of the offside where Diaz was onside. Remember in the game?
I didn't see this. Was this before the game on Sunday? No, I'm terrible because I just literally turn it on as it's tipping off.
Yeah. So they brought this banner. When I say it's banner, it was probably a flag, right? And it was to wind us up because that decision wasn't given. And I was there going, and
someone made a banner of this. Wow. Jesus Christ.
Huh? It was like they're going, I don't understand your point.
So they bring a banner with a screenshot of the offside decision and hold it up in the Anfield Road end.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a special one. It was genuinely a special one. And I didn't understand what they were trying to get at, right? Because all you were going to be doing is, and you won, and where are we going with this?
That's an unbelievable one, because I'm convinced that the away allocation that's given at Anfield, clubs must vet their supporters and find the weirdest ones and send them up to Anfield, because the stuff they come out with, if Liverpool turned up at Spurs, right? If Liverpool turned up at Spurs with I don't know, a goal they conceded against Liverpool on a banner. I go, would you ever fucking give it over? That's absolutely mental. I have to go and look for that now. Anyway,
I can't remember. Just when you look it up, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, where's our Origi goal versus Spurs in the final. We could have had a big Origi banner in the Champions League final. Or Mo's really bad penalty against Hugo Lloris, who dived out of the way. Do you remember that in the Champions League final? Could have put that one straight down the middle, straight at you, right?
Jesus Christ. That's off the wall. That's absolutely off the wall. Can I move you on? Because I know this is something that
hate Spurs.
No, this is something that you're gonna hate, but I know you'll enjoy talking about it. So the new Liverpool jersey came out last week, and I've said it online, and I don't know if I've said it on the show since, but I think it's horrendous. And now I've no skin in this game because I don't buy Liverpool jerseys. Right? I don't buy out of the Liverpool shop. I don't buy off DHK or whatever other bleeding link to China people have for jerseys. So I've no skin in this game. The only Liverpool merchandise I buy is for my daughter, and it's all the training gear. She's no interest in the jerseys, right? But the new kit came out, the new home kit. The prices of it are exorbitant. They're mad. But my whole point on this, Phil, and I don't know what you think of the jersey first of all, but my whole point on this is that whether you're Nike or you're Puma or Adidas or Under Armour or whoever, and you have the Liverpool jersey to design, I believe you have the simplest and easiest brief on the planet for a football jersey. And they try to be way too fucking cute about it. And then they come up with things like inspired by, and in reference to, and and an homage to whatever else. And they have all the lads dressed in flares because it's meant to be about Rome and all this sort of shit. But why did he try to get this clever with it, Phil? Or do you like it?
So I remember being on a show one night, and I said out straight, I said I think that New Balance by far made the best kits we've ever seen, right? And people go out mad. And I was long a staunch Adidas 85, 86, 87, 88, 89 to 90. Like that's the ring I've been standing in. And the one Umbro kit that had the pinstripes, right? So I said, if you just kept rehashing them over and over again, everyone would be happy, right? You could actually take 7 years of kits from the 80s and just rehash them, right? In the same order over and over again, and everyone would be happy, and you could do small updates. Now, to this kit, so from a distance, I don't think it's going to offend us too much, right?
Because the pinstripe isn't a pinstripe. It's actually, I think it's like You'll Never Walk Alone, the YNWA.
I thought it was a maze, that if you could find your way to the end of the maze, you got a golden ticket that made you get the jersey for free.
Right. No, it's not.
All right, grand.
But they did get rid of the idea of having the YNWA in the background of the crest. So the crest to be in front of you with this YNWA on a secondary kind of crest behind it. They got rid of that idea. But I look at this film and I think to myself, stop. As soon as you have to say, oh, it's inspired by this, I'm kind of going, well, hold on a minute. That means you had no inspiration in making this. You had no ideas in your head. You literally went back to, I think it's Rome in 84, right? And they just go, oh, look at that in 84. Yeah, let's just do that. Let's change a couple of things and let's just say it's inspired by this. And people go, oh, yeah, remember we won the European Cup. Let's buy that jersey. Look, I'm of the opinion that if you just stick the crest on it, right? The sponsor, red, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe put a bit of white on the end of the sleeves. Maybe.
Right.
You're absolutely fucking sound.
So that kit could have been just spot on. Didn't need to be all smart with your 1980s YNWA graphics tried to make it into a pinstripe. Just do the pinstripe, right? Okay. A very faint pinstripe. Perfect. And why they had to go to the shittest collar that was ever made in the history of Liverpool Football Club in terms of inspiration. Don't be giving me this shit that it's the 1984 collar, right? That is the ghastly Stan Collymore 1996 color, right? Where
95, 96. Yeah.
Yeah. Horrific stuff. Like, it's too wide. If that was a 1980s color, it'd be about the width of the jumper that I'm wearing at the moment. And that's the end of the V. A little V, bit in there, job done. And we'd be all saying, do you know what? They nailed that. They absolutely nailed that, right?
Do you know what I think it looks like? Can I put this to you? Do you know when the World Cup comes around,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you go into Dunn's,
Yeah.
right? Or Pennies or Primark for people in the UK, and they bring out these jerseys for the World Cup for the kids.
Sort of jerseys.
Sort of jerseys for the kids.
Yeah.
Right? So Argentina. And it'll just be blue and white with Argentina written on it instead of the crest. That's what it looks like to me.
All I'm saying is, if you think this is bad, wait till you see the Tord kit where Nike decided to upside down their swoosh.
Yeah, what's that about?
Beyond me, right? So I don't know what it's about. It's like we're off, so we're just gonna even mess around with the swoosh.
But you know what I noticed about the swoosh, right? In the NFL, the swoosh is one way on one side of the helmet or one side of the jersey, and the other way on the other.
Yeah.
Right. For what reason I don't fucking know, right?
Mirror. Yeah, so if you look in the mirror on the wrong way, it turns around the right way and it looks grand.
But if you look in the mirror the right way, it looks the wrong way, and then it's not.
Yeah, you don't look that way though.
Oh, so you don't look in the mirror on your right arm, which is madness, right? But and I was kind of thinking, have they gone that way with it? Even though I don't understand the reason of the NFL thing, but now it's just upside fucking down. It looks like it looks like when it was going through the printing press, it got snagged in it. The plate that it was being printed off spun like 90 degrees, and then it just kept running, and they went, "That's a fucking great idea."
I don't know. It just doesn't look like a Nike. It's like we're saying, right, we're off, and we don't want to be associated with this kit. So just there you go, off you go, right?
Yeah.
But like, come here to me. I don't know. As I said to you, I'd be in your camp now. I'm way too old to be worrying about jerseys. I've
no problem with people worrying about jerseys. Like, I've no problem. Like, this.
I love talking about style.
Well, this is the thing where if you go to Anfield now, when you're any age now, and you wear a jersey, it's all wool, which is bullshit. If you're going to watch Liverpool and you want to wear a Liverpool jersey, you go and do that. Wear the hat, wear the scarf, wear the jersey, whatever, all the gear you want. It's something I haven't done for years and years. I haven't bought Liverpool jerseys. It's just something I just don't do. I don't wear football jerseys. I know loads of lads my age that love jerseys. Keith Plunkett buys jerseys from all over the world. Steve Murphy, another friend of ours, buys them from all over the world. It's just not something I'm into. But Nike's doing the vertical swoosh on all their third kits. For what reason though? Like, I don't know. I just thought I'd touch on it. But Adidas are coming back. Madge Apple says awful the yellow kits, panel on the side is awful.
Awful kits. Awful. Adidas, like this nonsense. Oh, Adidas back's great, can make the best kits. They don't. They've made absolute dog dinners out of kits for donkeys at this stage. And the last time we were with them, it coincided with the Dalglish / Hodgson era for a reason, because the kits were atrocious, right? We couldn't get to the door quick enough. Was it them? Yeah.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was. Appalling sacks of rubbish, and their new kits are terrible as well. They're so bad.
The only thing I will say
Adidas is so bad. Come here, Adidas is so bad. Even Germany have sacked them off, and they own Germany.
Yeah, that's true. But the only thing is, I'm hoping that with Adidas come in, okay, they just go, listen, it's a red Liverpool jersey, right? Like they'd have been better off. They'd have been better off, right, making a red jersey with, like a kind of darker red stripe going down it, like 87, 88. Where they had the kind of darker red, and in that was just a little liveaboard all the way down it. Real faint, and you just go, there you go. No problem. And don't say it's inspired by it, and just make it.
But can I just say one thing before we finish this? If any of them ever bring that horrific, vile green and white panel thing that I ever have to sit through, right?
I thought that was one of my favourite jerseys as a kid.
I will launch weapons of mass destruction.
So that's 95, 96 as well. So that goes along with the rugby collar, as they called it, with Collymore, right?
That goes along with Adidas being absolutely.
So 90 was it 95 we signed Collymore? I think it was.
Shockingly crap.
But the same jersey that season was the green and white panel one, right? And if you see that jersey, that was one of the quickest selling jerseys of all time in Ireland, right? Because I know for a fact I wanted it. I mean, Ma was ringing every Champion Sports and Marathon Sports and Lifestyles, all the sports shops all over Dublin, trying to find it. And she eventually found one on one of the sports shops in Henry Street in Dublin. And your man said, listen, you have 2 hours to come in and get it. If it's not, then it's gone. we have to give it to the next person. I really like that one. Madge Apple says the yellow panel on the side is awful, and New Balance have proper sizes for women like 8, 10 and 12 rather than Nike small, medium, large. Yeah, I don't understand why the sizes of clothes is mental now. All the different types of things. Why is it gone like that? It's all bleeding mad now. Yeah, it is mad.
No.
So
anyway,
with the
exception of one bad kit, New Balance nailed it all for home kits. People can give out about the away kits, but like their away kits are great. Remember the purple one and the orange one,
the odd soft one, grey one. Warrior, the odd soft Warrior one was the best.
Warrior, I love, but Warrior were owned by New Balance as well. But like you look at it and you go, do you know what? Right, when you think back and look at the kits, they very rarely produced a bad one. Right, and even their away kits made like. Do you know what they did? They made you take notice of the away kits. They put on that green and white thing. The only reason I hate that green and white thing is because it brings me back to all the bad memories I ever had. And again, you can formulate all your bad memories around this season around that green and white kit. Go to United, green and white. Go to anywhere that was brutal, green and white. Bin the green and white. Never bring it back, right? And I think about New Balance. Think about New Balance. We won the league. Won the Champions League.
When New Balance the one that brought out the orange one and then the aluminum green one.
The orange kit. There should have been an executive order signed by FSG at that stage to validate and guarantee that we would always have a fluorescent orange kit for the rest of our days, right? A red kit and a fluorescent orange kit, and then a random. I will go back. I'll tell you one that I will go for. I want to bring a white and blue kit back because so many people lost the shit over the idea of having light blue in our kit. Right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, but that was the Suarez. One. Yeah, but that was the one where I didn't like it.
See,
I didn't like it. No, and isn't that the one we're playing in when fucking Berbatov gets a hat trick against us?
I've no idea.
We come 2-0 down at Old Trafford.
But it was an Adidas kit. So, again, it was an Adidas kit. So when everyone's creaming themselves over Adidas, think about all the crap times we've had in Adidas kits because it goes on for decades. So in the bin with Adidas, as far as I'm concerned, they should have gone off and found some random kit maker like, I don't know, Ponyo or something like that, right? Remember Pony used to make the kits for Spurs at one stage and West Ham back in the 90s. Yeah. Get random fellas to make kits. There's not many except Kistori because they're awful kits as well. And to be frank, this is why I don't buy football jerseys. They're all absolutely appalling, to be totally frank with you, right? It's just
I'd love to see someone just come out and go, listen, it's a red Liverpool jersey. There's a red Liverpool jersey. We haven't tried to be clever at all. It's not inspired by anything. There it is, and people just go, that's deadly looking. And that's what will happen.
Purple New Balance, orange New Balance, fluorescent green New Balance, mental New Balance kits. New Balance were the lads, and they were great. Great. Orange. You'll never get me away from the orange kit. And then we signed a lot of Dutch lads and we played like Holland in the 70s. It's just bring them all back.
Right. Next thing
we've loads of Dutch lads now. We've got Gakpo and we've got
the manager. The new manager.
And we've got the manager, right? And we've got Van Basten and we have Johan Cruyff and we've Van Dijk.
Who isn't dead.
And we've Vandenberg.
2477. 8th November. Princess Diana.
And we have Edam and we have Clogs, right? So I say bring back all the orange jerseys. We should be all wearing orange. Actually, come here to me. While I was saying that, I was picking up the family a couple of nights back. I was there going, and we pulled up outside to pick them up, and my other half says, "What's going on over there?" Because it's a school. And I said, "I bet you that's a Holland day." And she goes, "Why?" I said, "Look, everyone's dressed in orange." And we pulled off, right?
Yeah.
There was all Dutch flags everywhere. They were celebrating Holland Day. It was all Dutch people from around the embassies and all around in this thing. I was just like, I swear to God, they're just addicted to orange. I love that the fact that
I love oranges.
Orange.
I love oranges. Right, on to the next bit. Harvey Elliott.
Talking about oranges.
I want to talk about Harvey Elliott because I think it's right. So Harvey Elliott splits opinion at certain times, right, between certain people, and I always kind of go back to Shawnee on this one, right? Because Shawnee. Now, in fairness to him, Shawnee's come out in recent times and went, listen, he's a fucking brilliant footballer. But Shawnee did make the point a while back. He said, look, I don't know. It's not that I don't know what he does. I just don't know where he fits into this Liverpool side, you know. But Shawnee said in recent time, no, he does fit. He's a midfielder in a midfield three. He's being excellent, and Shawnee's going to give him his flowers over the last little while. But I watched him at the weekend, and I think if you're ever on the fence about Harvey Elliott, I think you should watch the game on Sunday and just take it from here on in. He's a proper Liverpool player. I think he's grown every time he comes on the pitch. I think he's improving every time he comes on the pitch. He's having much more of an influence. And all this stuff of he's not big enough, he's not strong enough, he's not quick enough, I think is a lazy argument at this stage. I watched Harvey Elliott the weekend and I thought he was head and shoulders above every midfielder on that pitch on the weekend. I thought McAllister played well. I thought Endo played well. And you hear things like, is he physical enough and stuff? He came up against Bissouma. I think it was Bissouma, Sarr and Bentancur at the weekend, right? Bentancur is a really, really good footballer, right? Technical footballer. He's physical. Sarr is the same. So is Bissouma. They're both quite mobile as well, right? They can get up and down the pitch, not about it to them. And Harvey Elliott stood out amongst all these players on Sunday. Against a side that, they like to get the ball in midfield. They like to play an awful lot in midfield. And I'm not telling people what to do with regards to Harvey Elliott, but I think it might be the time where we turn around and go, do you know what? Let's stop saying things like he's not ready. Let's stop saying things like he's not good enough. Because I think he's proven over and over again this season that he is good enough and he is ready. And yeah, he might misplace a couple of passes. He might overhear a few passes. He might make mistakes. He makes a mistake at Old Trafford when we're beaten in the cup. When he doesn't react quick enough and be, decisive enough when a ball drops out and United get us on the break. But honest to God, like, he's 21 years of age. And when I watched him on Sunday, I thought to myself, lads, and I know this is the easiest thing to say, but this is the truth, right? If you'd have brought him in as a 16-year-old from Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid, Bayern, any of these teams, and he was where he is now, you'd be absolutely fucking raving about him. And I just can't understand why people aren't raving about him, because he's a 21-year-old English fella that we got off Fulham. I just love him, Phil, and I love everything about him, and I'm willing to accept, forget, mistakes that he might make. All players make mistakes. All of them. Like, every one of them. Doesn't matter how tall you are, how fast you are, how strong you are, how old you are. Everybody makes mistakes. And I think it's time now where we just go, Harvey Elliott is a first-team Liverpool player and should be probably in our starting 11. He's excellent. Let's drop all this negativity around him.
Negativity.
Negativity.
Listen, he's 21, right? You know what the problem is? He's been part of our team since he was 17 in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
That people have forgotten how good we actually have it. He's 21. He's capable.
115 games, I think, for Liverpool.
Yeah, he's capable of playing in multiple positions. He doesn't even know where his best position is.
I think he does now.
I don't know, because I think if Klopp was there, I think they're grooming him to be Salah's ultimate successor. I genuinely think that, right? There's so much in this game that's similar to Salah going back 10 years before he gets to Liverpool, before he gets to Chelsea.
Bar the electrifying pace.
Yeah. But you don't.
But
need
I don't think he's a forward player, Phil, because I don't think when it comes to finishing, I don't think he's up there as a forward.
Listen, had you said to anybody back when Salah was at Basel, right before he goes to Chelsea, do you think this fella's going to score 155 goals in 248 league games?
Yeah.
They would have looked at you and said, "You've got 27 heads in you," right? For me, I look at him and I'm there going, this is, and I said it last year. I said he's got such a huge future ahead of him, right? Such a huge future. He's the future. Like, you look at Trent and he's 24. You look at him. People are being on Gravenberch's back this year. Another fella who's only 21, 22 in terms of what's there. You look at the players that have a big impact for where we're going to be over the next 3 to 4 years. And this fella has the potential to be the creme de la creme. the top of this, right? And be another one that we turn around and go, Jesus, we got Trent at the same time as we got Harvey Elliott. This fella is just off the charts. What he can do and how he could be is incredible. And like I look at, everyone's getting hung up on what formation Arnie is going to play when he comes in. There's all this 4-2-3-1 malarkey and all this type of stuff. I'm starting to see Christmas trees and all the things that went down before. And in reality, if you have 4 forwards or an attacking midfielder and 3 forwards in some form that can all rotate around the various different positions, he's coming in with a far stronger group of players to manage or coach or whatever it is that he's going to do than he had. So if he's stuck in his ways, then he's not going to last. But if he's not and he's adaptive and he realises what he has there, at our very best, with that squad, nobody has a set position in the front. That's at the top of the pitch, and that's what you need, because that's where we're able to do our best. When we become easy to defend and easy to stop, as we've seen over the last few weeks, when we become very set in our positions and movement and static. That's why I'm not a huge fan. I've said it, and I'm happy to say it again. I'm no fan of Diaz, whereas I do like Gakpo. I like the way he drops off. He can be a 10. He can be a 9.
But something very interesting you said there, right? When we become static, when we become, where people are able to preempt what we're going to do, right? What I seen on Sunday was, I seen McAllister, Elliott as the 2 midfielders advanced, of Endo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I seen Gakpo, Diaz and Salah. And if you watch how much Gakpo pulls left and Diaz goes central, how much Salah goes central to support, whether that be Diaz or Gakpo, whoever one's in there at the time, and Elliott pulling out to the right hand side. And what's happening was, it was very transitional as to what was going on, and they were changing all the time, and Spurs couldn't live with them. That's where I think Elliott comes into his own, because I think he's good in an advanced midfield role. I think he could play as a 10, as they call it, but you very rarely see any number 10s anymore. But I think he can play there. I think he can actually play out right. So what happens is, when you're actually shuffling them around, he finds positions where he's very, very comfortable. Like Quantum Geek asks the question, do you think he could replace Salah? And Ashley responds saying, no, I think his best position is midfield. Now Quantum Geek comes back and says, not saying you're wrong, but last season you have to remember Klopp played him as a midfielder and he couldn't handle it. I have to disagree with you, because he was playing in an abomination of a midfield last season. He was playing in a midfield that could genuinely not run. They could not turn and run. They couldn't run forward. They couldn't run backwards. They couldn't track. They couldn't cover ground. And he was put in there.
They were all running in porridge. That's what they're running.
Double porridge. Like,
right?
extra thick, sticky porridge. And honest to God, like, I felt sorry for Harvey Elliott last season. I felt sorry for anyone playing with certain midfielders last season, because it was just how much running do I have to do to cover for these lads. But I think when you see on Sunday how Elliott just tapped into, he's going there, he's going to move. And he literally went over and just terrified poor Emerson Royale with Salah for most of the game. Went, here, you push right up against him. If he gets by it, I'll take it and I'll give it to you. I just think, you're saying the sky's the limit, he's 21. I agree with you. And I think the only way you can give him that sort of credit is to stop saying things like he's not ready or not fast enough or strong enough. He's plenty of strength. He's more than enough pace to run around the place. He has an engine on him. He has vision. He's a shot on him. He's a pass on him. At 21, I think he's an unfucking believable talent. And I think the fact that he's being used off the bench so much this season, I think has actually helped him grow as a player. I think it's helped him understand the game, because he's watched an awful lot of it from the sideline and then come on and try to influence. And yes, he's made mistakes, but I think he learned from them as well. And I'd be very, very excited for him going forward.
I'll be honest with you. The comparison I have for him in my head and from watching him is not Salah. It's not. I just see him as being if you took Coutinho and stuck him into Shaqiri's body, that's what you're looking at in terms of style and the way he plays, right? And I think if that finish that he has at the weekend, if he was able to do that and become more regular with it, he fits that Coutinho. Remember, Coutinho wasn't a straight 10 or whatever it was. He played in that space.
Quickest, not the strongest.
Not the quickest, not the strongest. But I think Elliott is a much has a better arse, basically, right? He has a lower center of gravity in the Shaqiri style, right? So, and he's a lot stronger on the ball, and he doesn't get bossed off the ball. So, genuinely, I think the guy has, as I said to you, he's one of the things that makes me happy about the future in terms of what it is. I think he has that capability, and he has levels he can go up. He mightn't get there, but he has levels he can go up, right? I think there's a lot. I just think there is the world's his oyster. You know, he has a really good chance of getting into that England team as well. From my point of view, he might use maybe not the first team, but definitely as a strong squad player, somebody you can bring on and have an impact. See your point that he's come on and he's made an impact. That's huge. Football's a squad game. It's not a 1 to 11 game anymore, right? To be able to have a fella that can make an impact off the bench as well as start and have a huge impact, that's massive for any manager, any coach, anyone that's managing a team and looking across the whole thing. So look again. I'm all in on Elliott. Long been, really like him, and I think he's. It's great to have him. It's like he's like a couple of players rolled into one. So that's why I'm happy to wax lyrical about him. And I would have, had you asked me 6 weeks ago when people were sort of hemming and hawing about him, I would have said, look, I think this fella has a spark about him that when he comes on, he tries to make things happen. And that's huge. I think I genuinely make it.
Can I ask you something then? Because you've touched on something there. You know, he's a couple of different players rolled into one. And when you look at, and I'm not comparing him by any stretch, right? Because I don't like really you kind of liking them to a player, but you get a lot of always definitely like him. So Bernardo Silva at Man City, right? Who I think is a fucking brilliant footballer, right? But you'll see him and he'll come deep and he'll play deep in midfield. Then he'll go out and he'll play on the right. He'll go and play on the left. He'll play as a 10. He'll play as an 8. It doesn't really matter. He's just really fucking good footballer that can go anywhere, right? And people, when you talk about Bernardo Silva, they go, you know, don't like him as a person, but love him as a footballer and go, he just pops up anywhere. When you see the team sheet coming up from Man City, you're going, will he play deep? Will he play here? Will he play there? And that's seen as a strength for Bernardo Silva. Mm-hmm. But with Elliott, it's nearly seen as a hindrance. Oh, can he play there? Oh, he's a bit of this and he's a bit of that. And it's not seen as a strength. And is it something that Harvey Elliott has to go, do you know what? I'm not a wide forward. Right, but I'm not a 6 either. I'm an 8. I'm an advanced midfielder. You know, is that what he needs to do, or should he just keep going and being really good at an 8, really good on the right? You know, could he play in a 2? I don't think he could. But do you know the sort of way? It's like maybe people are just trying to find ways of trying to put him down a little bit by saying, he's kind of good at a few different positions, but he's not great at any of them. I think he's excellent in that right hand side today, to be honest.
It's such an antiquated view of football that you know he has to have a position. He doesn't. This modern
I agree. He doesn't. But I'm saying it seems to be a put down on him that he can play in different positions, whereas other players, it's a real, you know.
But that's people. That's people not moving with the way football has progressed. So it's like they just have a view that this is what it is and that's what they should be, and it's a very Rafa view of the world. Whereas in reality, where football has moved on to is that you've non-positional players across all the pitch. It's so hard to label a player this or that. He's a defender, he's a midfielder, he's an attacker, right? That's probably the limit we're getting to. You hear this 8 and 4 and 6 and 1 and 2 and 3 and thing. They talked about Italians had the names for the various different positions and they didn't have them in English, so now they're using numbers. But numbers are irrelevant because what's an 8? An 8 could be a centre back, right? Like nowadays, the concept of a frontline sweeper is something that's come back into vogue. There's not a deep line sweeper. Then you have inverted fullbacks that play from midfield. They're just fellas who've pushed in from defence into midfield and somebody's dropped out from midfield to cover in a fullback. It's rotational positions, and this is where football has gone to try pull teams out of their own set positions and create spaces because teams have become so compact. Good teams have become so compact. So as you try to create more and more positionally, this is what teams do. Like you look at the transitions that City, that even Pep, who has gone through, and I'm not a huge fan, but look at his style of football has gone from purely possession based when he was at Barcelona, which was designed to pull teams out of position so that you just went and attacked the oak, to a much more vertical type of game when he was at Bayern. He's come to England and it went vertically but wide. When you think of a Guardiola City team, you don't think of beautiful football through the middle of the pitch. You think of them attacking it wide and pulling the ball back, and somebody standing around 10 yards out and poking the ball into the back of the net, which is why they signed Haaland. This is what they want to do. I look at us and I go, right, what's Klopp done in this iteration is to basically to create that mismatch and to create different focal points of attack. He's took his playmaker, who's a right back, and allowed him to wander in field, which pulls teams all over the shop because they don't know who's going where and what they're going to do. And for a long time, that was so brilliant in terms of what we did, particularly even this season. And it created space for us to operate in. And when I look at Elliott, that's why he's made to keep developing in this modern style of football. And that's why when you look at the likes of a Gakpo, when you look at why Salah has flourished in terms of what it is, these lads aren't fixed to a position. These lads rotate in around and they're brilliant at rotating, and they have the tactical nous to move in the right positions at the right times. You see, when we're at our best, what you said earlier on, you have this front line that isn't static and is continually moving, but moves with the midfield as well, so that everything transitions around what's going on and creates that ability to pull teams and defenders out. When we're at our worst,
we stand as a tree up front and just
yeah,
and that's where I think the likes of that's where I think the likes of Gakpo is huge in all this, because if you play him with a Nunez or a Diaz, like I don't know what game it was, and he's up front with Nunez and Salah. And the two of them, every time you looked at them, they'd swap position. But the opposition team didn't have a fucking clue what was going on. And they were running amok on them, you know. Now, I want to talk about Darwin Nunez because Darwin Nunez has deleted some Liverpool-related stuff from his Instagram account.
All his Liverpool-related stuff.
Well, not all his Liverpool stuff, just some recent stuff.
All the stuff.
And, of course, listen, I have my own point of view on this. Some people will feel like, oh, he's on his way out the gap. He's going to be leaving Liverpool. Look, he's starting to delete stuff. His profile picture is still Darwin Nunez in the Liverpool jersey. His bio still has Liverpool and Uruguay in it. His location has Liverpool in it. So he hasn't removed all of that stuff. He's removed some posts. And my thing on this is that he's been getting abuse on these posts. And these posts are being used to be screenshotted and then put across other social media platforms with certain comments underneath them. I've read that his family have been abused on this. There's been threats made against him, all this sort of nonsense. Now, don't get me wrong, he shouldn't be paying any attention to these gobshites online, because that's what they are, gobshites. You know, I have seen tweets where people are saying, you know, I hope fucking Darwin Nunez dies, I hope all this, and this is just absolute fucking morons typing this. But Darwin Nunez probably looked at him and went, look, I'm not giving them the ammunition, I'm removing certain posts, and he has removed certain posts, and I'm with him on it. I'm absolutely with him on it. If you don't want to turn on your phone and go onto your account and find something, now he has limited his comments on his Instagram, so that means that probably only people that follow him or people he follows can comment. But I think what was happening was, I think people are actually screenshotting some of his posts and then using them, and that's why he may got rid of it. But a couple of things, Phil, I'm with him on it. If he wants to delete that, it's his account, he can do whatever the fuck he likes. But the amount of people, whether you like him or not, the amount of people willing him out of the club because he's deleted some Instagram stuff, like getting excited over the fact that he might leave the club because he's deleted some of this stuff. I'm sorry, Phil, but as a Liverpool fan, you go out and you support Liverpool players. You know what I mean? And I keep going back to it. 7 weeks ago, we were all banging on about Darwin Nunez. He's a handful, he's scoring, he's creating, gets a winner of Forest. Bang, 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 bang. He has a hard time in the last 6 weeks, along with the majority of Liverpool players. You can point your finger at Darwin Nunez, absolutely missed some big chances. You can point your finger at loads of Liverpool players because they've missed chances, or they've, you know, been the reason we've conceded goals. Mm-hmm. But to be willing a fella out of the club because he deletes some Instagram stuff is a joke. He's allowed to do it, isn't he? And he doesn't need that in his life.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Well, what would you do? If you had
was him?
Well, no, if you had an Instagram post up of you and work, because that's what he's doing. He's a posting work, and somebody was screenshotting it, putting some comments on top of it and posting it across the internet. You just cut it off at source, wouldn't you? Stop people screenshotting it. You get rid of it, and you don't want to see it and read whatever's being said in it either.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I'm like, if I'm being totally honest about this, right? The sad reality of this is that if you've generated a social media presence for yourself as a footballer and you've utilized it for whatever you've been doing for, which is, and it's non whatever, you have to take the rough and the smooth, right? The fact that the Liverpool stuff is just, I think he's playing. I think if there is negativity in the posts and stuff like that, I think he's essentially you're letting them win, right?
Yeah, okay. It could be, yeah.
And the reality is, Gav, like, you gotta have thicker skin than that as a footballer. What are you gonna do? Slag you off for being a donkey because you couldn't hit a barn door for the last 10 weeks? What are you gonna do? Like, if he was at the moment, if he was running towards the exit, he'd probably miss. You know what I mean? So, like, the reality is, this fella is under contract, and if he doesn't want, like, to my point, if you're going to do that, don't do it straight after the game. You've missed a sitter, and you've done mad things as ever, but never didn't really contribute to anything. And your entrance sort of coincided with the best spell that Spurs had, particularly when they attacked down your. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just. Like, I've no problem with him deleting the stuff, but had he done it on, let me say, had he done it on Monday evening, right? This is a non-story. Had he done it on Tuesday morning?
But you see, I don't think it is, Phil, because I think it's got to the stage now where there's a certain section of the media, right? I think want Darwin Nunez to fail at Liverpool so they can go, 100 million, because the figure's not 100 million, but the quote is 100 million. And then you have a certain section of people who identify themselves as Liverpool fans, and I highly doubt they are, who want to, you know, they prey on this sort of drama and prey on this sort of, you know, nearly prey on someone's failure, you know, because when he signed, they probably thought, that's a bit too much money, or I don't really rate him. And you know how this goes, Phil. People get on that hill and they'll die on it. And if there's any drama to be had with regards to a player, they will absolutely feast on it for as long as possible. And even if Darwin Nunez leaves in 5 years from now, people will tell you when he's leaving, yeah, see, I told you, I was right, not good enough. Yeah, but he was here 7 years, mate. Doesn't matter, not good enough, out the gap. So my whole, do you know what? It's not even, I suppose, the thing that's annoying me most over it is, maybe not, I don't know the ins and outs of the abuse he was getting. I did see one instance where it was an Instagram post put onto Twitter and there was something written above it, right? I did see that last week, right? So when I actually seen the story about deleting stuff, I was like, not really surprised because what went on, or what I presume went on because of the one thing I had seen. What annoys me more is that people going around and are thriving on this. Liverpool pretend to be Liverpool fans and thriving on it. That's what annoys me the most. You know what I mean? Then they'll moan when the player that they like leaves.
Listen to me. This is where fandom has ended up, right? There's real fans. There's people who attend games. There's people who don't attend games but are still fans. And then there's just the online world. Now, unfortunately, if you're heavily involved in it, or you do get heavily involved in it, whether it's through the game or whatever it is, you leave yourself open. So I said this years ago, you have to be able to take the rough and the smooth. Like, people have mentioned that there was stuff sent to his wife or what have you in terms of, now that's terrible. It's absolutely disgusting. It has nothing to do with him in terms of what's going on. But I've seen this behaviour over and over and over and over. And this hasn't just started. This has gone on for years. Gone on for donkeys, and it's accepted now because, you know, there is no controls anymore when you have the people who own the various different social media platforms fully embraced in this sort of Trump way of being where anything goes, and they don't give a shit. They genuinely don't. Musk doesn't. Musk is wants as much controversy to go because he's stupid basically. And that's just the way. Sadly, that's just the way it is. So there's a choice, and I respect his decision if he is deciding not to engage with social media and step away from it. Absolutely respect it and applaud him for doing it. I just think if I was managing that decision myself, I wouldn't make it look so reactive. I think that's the only bit that it is, because straight away the headlines aren't Darwin Nunez was subject to extreme abuse and his wife was subject to extreme abuse over the course of whatever it was. It now was Nunez deletes all Little FC related posts after he doesn't play well against Tottenham Hotspur. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what the narrative is, isn't it?
But he come on for about 15 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And he misses a chance. The ball's put through, and people are like, "Why didn't he go around him? Why didn't he do it?" He goes to put it past the keeper. The keeper makes a decent save, right? That's life, right? But it's probably more annoying me. 100% it is more annoying me that somebody has to delete that stuff where I believe off the back of people being absolute arseholes. And you know, it's his mental health, it's his well-being, and he or his media team probably feel, get rid of that. Just stop her at source here. You know what I mean? Stop her at source. He has removed the fact he's a Liverpool player. He has removed the fact he's in Liverpool. The picture is still him in a Liverpool jersey. So it's not like he's trying to disassociate himself with the whole club and say, I want nothing more to do with this. I'm at Liverpool, but I want out as quick as I can. Because it would be very easy to do that. It would be very easy to put a picture of him in a Uruguay jersey, just say he's from Uruguay and not say anything about the club. That's not how it's gone. Do you know what I mean? That's not how it's gone. Sam says, let me see, where's Sam's? He says, if Nunez was sold and hits 30 goals next season, the same people will be blaming the club selling him rather than not looking at their own actions as fans not supporting the player. And look, I've no problem with people saying he's missed big chances. Has he cost us points at times? Yeah, I would say, yeah, that's probably fair. There's been chances where you could put a game to bed and we've come out with a draw. But there's also other people that have cost us points. And if they'd defended well or not misplaced a pass or done that, we would have won. You know, the sort of way. And I suppose it's probably going back to the thing I was saying a couple of weeks ago, where people seem to just focus in on Darwin Nunez. And it was all about Darwin Nunez. And I was like, yeah, Darwin Nunez is an issue here. Don't get me wrong. Because over the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's missed some chances. But he's not the only one. And when you know, like, put it this way, if we won the league this year, no one will come out and go, all about Darwin Nunez. All about that. He won the league for us. Look at the amount of goals and involvements he has. They're not going to do that. They're going to, you know, reminisce about the whole team. But it seems to be they just zeroed in on this fella. And someone said in the chat earlier, they were zeroing in on Diaz a while back. They were zeroing in on Cody Gakpo got it a while ago. Do you know what I mean? Andy Robertson was getting...
Gakpo was getting absolute dog's abuse, right? And
what
he would get it in a few
scored.
weeks' time. Yeah, when he doesn't score something or he doesn't have a decent game, he'll get it then in a few weeks' time.
But he gets a goal. Gakpo gets a goal at some stage, and McAllister stands on the pitch and says, I'm delighted for him because he's been excellent for us. His head hasn't dropped once, all right? And he got that tonight. He's a brilliant player. He's a brilliant person. And since then, Gakpo's just gone boom, and he's back. Do you know what I mean? And you're allowed. They're young players. They're allowed. But I suppose the biggest thing out of this is, and I get your point, you know, why do it at that stage, and maybe even if he does it on a fucking Wednesday afternoon, they're going to come hound on him anyway, because that just seems to be the flavour of the month. But my big thing is, he's a Liverpool player. I think he's done well for Liverpool. He's done really, really well for Liverpool in patches. There's some chances he's missed, yeah, absolutely. But there's no reason why Darwin Nunez couldn't turn around next season and go and score a shitload of goals for Liverpool. Where he's put in the middle of the box and told, here, just stand in there and score goals. We don't want you to do fucking anything. Or do you know what? You're a left winger now, because he's brilliant off the left. Do you know the sort of way? So it's just
again, you know, sadly it's the way of the world. People jump on form as opposed to consistent performances. Like, there's a lot of players that we've had over the years that are seen as cult heroes and shouldn't, because they were atrocious players. And some of those players have even got me blocked on social media for no reason. I've never abused any of them directly. I've just held views about them, right? even ones that rhyme with the likes of Eucas, right, Dave?
You're trying your best there. Ant says it's not true that he's the only one being called out though lately, Gav. Canate, Szoboszlai, etc. is all being called out in their poor form. I'm not saying that other players weren't noted for their poor form,
No.
right? But genuinely, the only player I've seen to be mentioned to cost us the league title is Darwin Nunez. Nobody has come out and says Canate's cost the title there, Szoboszlai's cost the title there, Van Dijk, whoever. The only player I've seen mentioned and uttered in the same sentence as cost us the league title or cost us points is Darwin Nunez. Yes, Szoboszlai's being poor, lads. Canate, we can't get him in the team enough because is he strong enough to play a couple of games a week? I've heard all that and we've discussed all that.
Diaz,
We've said it. You don't like Diaz, right? But you know what I mean? Like, Robertson at times, was he good? Was he back in? Was he back too early? Salah has got it. I'm not saying people are that one-dimensional that you haven't mentioned the downfall of other players. What I'm saying is it's at a certain level for some players and then others, i.e. others, when I say others, I mean one other. Darwin Nunez has cost us a title, has cost us this and has cost us that. Right?
Hasn't cost us anything.
Well, Phil, like if you put it down to you kind of go, do you know what? If he slips two of those chances away, we win today. But at the same time, if he makes that tackle or he makes that interception or he fucking positions himself better, we don't lose that goal today. You know what I mean? So I just think the level at Nunez is higher than the level of others.
Hang on, every single one of them, and this is what that annoys me, right? This run to collapse of all the trophies we're in, right? This isn't on one of them. This is on all of them because in so many of these games, we've had the lead and we've thrown it away.
Quantum Geek says 90 million, but he's not a 90 million pound striker.
No, that's just again it's headlines. It's like the
most Darwin Liverpool Nunez can play for Darwin Nunez is 84 million pounds.
And they won't because he hasn't won the league and they haven't won the Champions League. So they basically he hasn't even scored 20 goals. So they don't even have to worry about the amount of goals.
Well, he has scored that.
Not this season. In one season.
No, I would say it's amount of goals over a certain amount of time. But
Golden Blue? No.
No, but the thing is like
Golden Pineapple. He might get the Golden Pineapple.
You know I think with Darwin Nunez, aside from this stuff, like to go into it, when I look at Darwin Nunez, and it's not a blind loyalty to a player. You know, I mean, when I see a player and I don't think he's good enough, like I love Jordan Henderson, right, as a Liverpool player because of what he done. But then I looked at Jordan Henderson, this is gone, it's over. And when you think it's over, I just say it's over. You know what I mean? And it was over for him. It was over for Fabinho, right?
Yeah.
It will be over for different players at different times. My thing with Darwin Nunez is that I think the amount of assists he's given this season has been brilliant. The work rate is there. I just think he scored some fantastic fucking goals as well this season, by the way. But some of the time, it's just a bit hurried, and it's a bit lashy. And I think if he can slow himself down for half a second at times, and caress a ball rather than smash a ball, I think he's probably up 5 to 10 goals this season. But that can come. And people tell you that you can't teach it. That you can. You teach anything to anyone. I don't care what anyone says.
I hear what you say. I don't agree with you. I think with strikers, it's either inherent or it's not. And if you look at him playing for Benfica and look at what it was, he was a streaky striker, right? And he's never had that composure in front of goal. So he's always going to be streaky.
31 goal involvements this season. I think he gets 16 goals for Liverpool this season. I think he might have about the same this season. I don't know the goals total for Darwin Nunez over 2 seasons, but it's 31 goals and assists so far this season for Darwin. But you can't, not that you teach him, I think you just put him at ease a little bit. I think he always looks a bit over eager to do something in front of goal. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know when you see a player that's just over eager to get a shot away, or they're over eager, and then you see other strikers where they're probably not the best striker in the world, but they just have a plan in their head, and they might be technically the best player in the world, but they have a plan in their head, and he just seems to be. It's always very reactive from him. Even in situations where he doesn't need to be reactive, he tries to get his reaction in very early. You know, the sort of way. But you've seen strikers over the years where you go, I'm not too sure, and then they just go on a run and they just keep going and going and going. And I'm not willing to write him off. I'm not willing to write him off yet.
And listen to me, of all the, as I said, and I'll stand by it, I think he offers more than Diaz does. So, like, if they had to pick between one or the other, I'd definitely be showing Diaz the door and maximising whatever value you can of him. He's also a lot younger, so you still have some type of value attributed to him. I think the biggest issue with Nunez in reality is the price tag. The fact that people are talking about 90 million, whatever it was, he's one of our most expensive signings of all time, no matter which way you look at it, right? And he seems to be, Julian Ward signs him and Diaz, essentially, right? And let's be honest about it, neither signing, for the amount of money we spent on them relative to what we've spent on the fellas that we brought in this summer, right, look to be as value as the value level that we'd expected to get for making those signings, right? We've made a couple of high profile, really poor signings in the last 10 years under FSG. Keita, Carroll, and the worry is that Diaz and Nunez will fall into that category as well, right? Because we have, unlike City, we as a club, when you're paying the big money for these players, we have to hit a home run with them. Do you know that way? You can mess around with your McAllisters and that's not a slight McAllister, by the way, and the Endos and lads like that in terms of what we're paying. That's where our mess around rate is. But once we get into the big money, the 50 plus lads, they're the ones that we need to land, and unfortunately, they're the ones that we aren't always getting right. So I would be hopeful to maximise what we can get. I'd love to see Nunez, mature, develop that composure, and become a better finisher. I'm not saying striker, a better finisher of what's in front of him. Because I think as a club, we need that to happen. But I don't think it will put them off spending big money on players they identify in the future. And you know what? If Slot comes in and says, listen, I don't think he's going to sell him purely because I don't think they get anywhere near the value that they'd have attached to him. And I think he'll stick with him because I think as a player goes in terms of the energy level, he's not going to come in and gut that squad. You don't get an 82, 84 point squad and gut it. What you try to do is make small tweaks around the edge and see what you can maximise out of it. And if Slot is a fella who can deliver, I call him, at worst, if he's the Dutch Brendan Rodgers and can just get the amount of points that's in the squad over, then we're going to be in the hunt for another title chase next year of 86, 87 points based on what they do across the course of summer. So do you know what I mean? Like that's where I start to sit with it, and I think he's worth keeping on board. But that's because I think we should realise the value we can with Diaz at this point. I don't think you'd have a better market for him.
But the other thing about just on Diaz is that the rumour is that Arne Slot is a big fan of actual wingers, out and out touchline sort of wingers, and that's where Diaz probably comes to the fore more than a Gakpo, right, or a Diaz or a Nunez. But my thing about it is, and it goes back to something we were talking about earlier, when it's fluid, I think you see the best of these players, and I actually think Darwin Nunez. I think Darwin Nunez benefits from you saying to him, listen, you're up front, but switch with him and go left, and then go centrally and hang out right for a bit, and it's nearly like you're giving him a host of things to do and a difference to different attacks, a different kind of look at it, and I think he benefits from that. I think when you see him switching positions with certain players, I think he kind of enjoys that. Do you know the sort of way? And people say, Redboard said, would a striker coach help Darwin? Redboard says with a super chat. And somebody says there he has no composure. He has got composure. I've seen him finish goals with loads of composure. Loads of it, right? Right. There's just times I feel like he's a bit snatchy, or he's a bit, when that ball is dropping, it's like he has to get to it and hit it, rather than saying, just let that ball come to me and I'll sort it. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, nearly an over eagerness to get something done, and that's affecting him. Whereas I think if people say to him, don't be over eager, let the chance come to you and it will happen. And when he lets chances come to him, I think there is composure there. That's why I'd argue that I don't think he needs to be taught. I just think he needs to slow down in his own mind, and it's a mental thing with him. It's not It's not a physical or a
Get a psychologist then.
It's not a skill issue. He needs to be his own psychologist and say, just calm down. Do you know what I mean? Just calm down. If that means putting him in front of the goal and training and going, listen, we're going to knock it in. You do whatever the fuck you like here.
Gav, that isn't a flippant remark. If sports psychologists have an incredible way of turning sports people from being at the edge of being brilliant to being great, right? There's so many examples, to your point, of golfers who've employed sports psychologists who've gotten them over the top to maximise and win majors and win stuff. You see it in other sports, and in on the continent, it's much more accepted. Why shouldn't they have? Why wouldn't you get them in front of a sports psychologist? In fact, that 2013, 2014 run was so much of it was put down to them bringing in your man who was the head doctor at the time. Do you remember? I can't remember what his name was.
He was talking about your inner chimp and all his Steve Peters, Jerry Ten. Great.
He brought him in, and he seemed to have an incredible impact on that team, given that it had no history of winning anything, right? Let's be honest about this. And I know they didn't win anything, but they came damn close to it and got them into a position where, I hate to say, they could believe. But to it, right? Why not? What have you got? You've spent 65 million quid on it. Why not get a fella? Now, he needs to want it as well. The other side of it, that the player himself needs to want to do this. And I can't imagine that there isn't the coaching staff at the club saying, here, and we know that the sports and psychologists involved, let's get a fella. Why don't have a chat to him? See if we can slow down the process, just that it makes it more comfortable for you in your mind and that you have much more composure. Because the misses he's had this season, he's genuinely, it's some of them have been so much harder to miss than to actually score. You just look at it and go, how is that happening?
And some of them where he misses, it's like he's lashing a ball and it's hitting the keeper. Now, don't get me wrong, the one against Palace where it drops and he lashes at the keeper, it's straight at the keeper. The keeper makes good reaction save, right, with his leg or whatever. And people are like, oh, how did he fucking miss that? Like, literally down the other end, Mateta misses from 3 yards out, trying to lash the ball in the goal. And it hits Alisson, and people are going, look at that for a save from Alisson. So,
wasn't an amazing save.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. At one end, it's like, that's a terrible miss. And at the other end, it's an incredible save. You know, the sort of way. So you kind of have to, kind of step away from the situation and look as well. But I do feel that when I watch Darwin Nunez, I just think if he lost that bit of eagerness in him, I think you'd see an awful lot more balls hitting it. That's just the way I am with it. But anyway, we're going well over time because you said to me, will we start at 10 and finish at 20 to 11 and out the gap? It's
12.
20 past 11. But last thing before we go, because we've spoken loads of football. So
Galway time. Walking on Galway time.
No, listen, Galway time. Ireland have qualified for the Eurovision final.
Normally, I'd be excited and jumping about and talking shit about this, but the fact that the Israelis are in, and I'm not going to get political, but I've no interest in it. Anything, I swear to God, I've just no interest in it. Like, it's outrageous what's going on in the Middle East at the moment, and it's outrageous that you see the likes of England and the American sending arms and stuff to them. It's just, I can't, and it's one of the few times that I'll go full P here, right? That I can't actually get involved in this type of stuff. I think it would have been better for the whole lot of the world to kick them out, because they did it to Russia, or else just boycott it. As a country, we should have just boycotted it or done something to stand up and made a sign. It's horrific. The whole thing is absolutely horrific.
I fully agree with you. Without getting too political as well, I fully agree with you. With regards to Israel, I think they've been looking for an excuse to do something like this for a long time. They're doing it. They're being backed by the UK, and they're being backed by the Americans, simply for the reason is it's Israel and Iran and everything else around it. With regards to the Eurovision, though, yeah, I agree with you. I think if Israel are attacked by Hamas, and they want to react and go after Hamas, but to literally start killing tens of thousands of people as a reaction is appalling, and there's no other word for it. Absolutely and utterly appalling. And yeah, they did kick Russia out, and they probably should have done the same to Israel. So I'm with you on that. The only thing I would say is that just going back to the Eurovision without the Israeli kind of side to it, Ireland are trying their best to get into the final for years. We sent a fucking Turkey
listen.
1 year.
Listen,
But this board, this board's gone into it now, right? And she's off the chain, mad. Right? Fucking off the wall, mad this is. And it's actually mad enough that it could actually win it. So we'll all be sitting here next year going, the TV license has gone up 50 quid because we had to pay for the fucking Eurovision. Remember we used to say that when we couldn't win it anymore? Oh, no point winning. Sure, we couldn't afford to host that.
Couldn't afford to host that, yeah. Listen to me. All I'm saying is that absolutely it's taken us many years to continue to up the level when we sent Dustin to Turkey to the Eurovision. Do you remember we did that?
Yeah. Did we get one of the boys' own lads to do it as well?
Who knows?
I'm pretty sure one of the boys' own lads said,
in its heyday. In its heyday, when we used to win it every year for the laugh, because nobody actually wanted to host it, right?
Yeah.
We won it. Johnny Logan and Niamh, what's her name, and
Niamh Kavanagh.
the other one, Niamh Kavanagh,
one that's still going around judging song contests. Linda
Martin, right? Clannad,
Charlie McGettigan, Charlie McGettigan.
Yeah, right. Like they were, those lads were up the top. Do you know what I mean? And
Jerry says. This country has provided endless talented musicians, and to send that trite this year is an embarrassment. Have you seen the stuff Ireland has sent over the last fucking 10 years to this? Absolutely appalling here. This one is just off the wall, mad. And I think I think they've done the right thing. They've done the right thing by sending a mad act. Because why not? Like, when's the last time you've actually listened to a Eurovision winning song and went, that's a really good fucking song, that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'd listen to that if it was on an album. Do you know what I mean?
But that's the thing, Riverdance doesn't exist if there's no Eurovision. And I think nobody knows what happens that year. All we know is that Jerry Ryan was the host, right? And with your woman, I can't remember what her name is, right? And then they introduced Riverdance.
Yeah.
They introduced Riverdance, and then Riverdance did it, and then they toured for 30 years non-stop.
Yeah, still going.
And then off the back of it, Michael Flatley becomes a thing. And like, let's be honest about it, right? Michael Flatley for me is one of the greatest exports that's not belonging to us whatsoever that we produced. Lord of the Dance,
yeah.
And then he has that film with Steven Seagal as well. Yeah. Don't even get me started on Steven Seagal, right?
Yeah.
Blackboard, right?
But come here, where is Flatley from?
Actually, did that happen, or did I just make that up?
Where's Flatley
from? America.
Right, but like he's just going around telling everyone he's Irish. He's like Tony Cascarino.
Yeah.
Isn't he? He's like Tony Cascarino.
He had the golden gloves.
Where are you from, Michael? Drimney. Like, doesn't give a bollocks. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
But anyway,
what a man. Michael Flatley, some man, and he does the dancing. And I remember him, wasn't he crippled at one stage? And then they said, any chance you could do a wee dance there, Michael? And he jumped up and he started doing his river dance again. And he was like, oh, but I won't be able to do this again. Now my knees could explode at any moment, right? I'm not saying out a few points on you. He's up all the time. I said, never show you this one.
Like the caravan scene in Val Head.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you. Listen, best of luck to that board. That's that girl that's in the Ireland one. I don't even know the name. I just see the clip of it. It's absolutely off the wall, mad. But I hope she does really well. Is it Saturday the final? I'm presuming it's probably Saturday. They're not doing a midweek.
Blackboard. That was 2018. Michael Flatley's film came out. Blackboard, right?
Okay.
And the Steven Seagal bit I invented because me and Paul Brennan had a pod one night going back years where we invented a whole film whereby Michael Flatley and Steven Seagal would have come together to create an action movie. And Steven Seagal obviously has the kung fu superpowers, right? But Michael Flatley they were going into Iran to take out the Iranians, right? And Michael Flatley was using his Irish dance maneuvers to take out the Iranians. Yeah, okay. And he was able to show...
What manoeuvres are we going to use in war today? Mick has a load of manoeuvres there.
He'd creep up in stealth, now without the cloggy heel ones, because they make a huge amount of noise, right?
The American fella from Drimney, he's over there.
and then he came... But yeah, Blackboard's a film. I actually saw the film, and I'll tell you one thing, right?
Brian O'Halloran has an image of Flatley as a mob boss. Was that the film you're talking about?
He's not a mob boss. No, but this is. I think that would maybe me and Brennan's movie. But he's actually there. He's got a cut. It's set in Barbados, right? It's
It's in
it's
Malmo, the
fantastic.
Malmo Arena on Saturday, the 11th of May. So this Saturday. Look, we have to go, but the best of luck to that girl
Have to
singing
go.
our song.
But just I encourage anyone to go and watch Blackboard. He's a secret agent that retires and opened a nightclub in the Caribbean. Right? It's immense, right? It's like you, and I'll say one thing as well. It's nowhere near as bad as that movie that has Conor McGregor in it, right? This is worth your time.
Roadhouse, is it? Roadhouse?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Anyway, go and watch Blackboard. Cheer on Ireland in the Eurovision, but at the same time, I'm with Phil. The fact that Israel are in the Eurovision, and also the Eurovision committee or the whoever have said that any Palestinian flag seen at the Eurovision on Saturday will be removed from the area because it isn't a place for political displays. But
oh my God! What about Australia? Are they in it?
I don't know how they got into it 1 year. Remember that? Yeah, Jesus.
It's not a place for political displays, but they let the Ukraine win it 1 year, and just for the sake of after the Russia. Like, listen to me. Don't even get me started on the madness and the hypocrisy that's going on there. Right? I'm having that. But yeah, Blackboard. The best thing that you can take away from this podcast now, Blackboard, the film with Steve. Well, not Steven Seagal. I keep saying Steven Seagal. He's off in Russia at the moment.
Red Steve says he did some film where he wore a different fedora in every scene.
It's possibly that one.
Oh Jesus Christ! Right, I tell you what. Send me. I'll watch Blackboard. But
I'll have to send you the bag golf thing.
Golf thing. I want to see that. Yeah, I want to see that. Anyway, we're gonna go. I think we've done a fair chunk of football tonight, and a little bit of the messing. I'm sure we'll get people. I'm sure people. Enjoy it. They probably give out about it. Sean Casey said they did not qualify tonight. Who did not qualify?
I think it's something with the Israelis didn't qualify. I think they nipped it off the pass.
Oh, right. Yeah. So the Israelis aren't in there anymore. So now we're back on. Yahoo! Right, Saturday night.
You can watch it now.
Yahoo! Deadly. Anyway,
isn't Seagal hiding out in Russia after
I don't know, Phil. Stop with it. It's fucking 11:30. I have to go. But anyway, we're going to go. Don't forget our fundraisers. The links are in the description. I keep saying this.
He's meant to be worse than Arnie and everything is.
Right, okay. Just let me finish this off with it.
I'll keep that for next week.
Right, keep for next week. And we have to... Next week, we will again try to do When We Thought Our Youth Was Gone or something along them lines. But we keep forgetting to do it every week. But our 2024 fundraiser, Fan Support and Food Banks, The Lighthouse. The link is in the description. Also for the Laura Lynn Hospice is Phil's quest where he's breaking world records every week, but the link is in there as well. I keep saying this every show. Nobody's fucking donating, but we don't care. We're going to keep going and going and going and going and going until you actually do, or somebody gives a donation of some sort. If you want to sponsor the golf day, Talkin Kop1 at gmail.com, and we can look after you there as well. What day is today? Tuesday. I'll be with you at 10 o'clock in the morning if you want to talk random stuff and a little bit of football, a bit like this. The 30 is at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And yeah, that's about it. Anything else before we go, Phil?
Steven Seagal, Steve Bruce, Michael Flatley, right? That's a podcast in itself, right?
Right.
Steve Bruce's books, Steven Seagal stories, and Michael Flatley, just because Michael Flatley and something. Golden Gloves.
Okay.
Top of the morning to you. Top of the morning.
No worries.
This is
starting to fuel an idea I have in my head for a podcast. A standalone podcast, by the way. But it's really fueling me. Right, we're going. I'll talk to you in a bit. Thanks, Phil. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Good luck. Over and out.
Ray from Stokes, Kelly Crowley.
Hit the button.